Hope you're doing well. I'm pleased to be joined by Beth from United Stand to talk about Man United West Ham FA Cup tomorrow night. Beth, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited. Just come off the back of the first trophy after nearly 6 years. Man United are looking good again, hoping to go for trophy number 2 with the FA Cup. So you are in our way at the moment. So hopefully we get you out the way tomorrow. But no, I'm excited. Yeah, Man United doing well. I'm good.
Well, you waited about 20 seconds before you started all this trash talk and having a pop at West Ham kind of thing. But let's just backtrack to the Carabao Cup. Did you enjoy your Wembley experience?
Oh, yeah, it was amazing. Honestly, it's been too long since Manchester United were at Wembley. It's been way too long. And you could see that. A lot of people saying that Man United fans might have over-celebrated. But we always said that no matter what cup it's going to be, we're going to celebrate it so much as the first one in. And I think it's because people know this is going to be the first of many. Well, I believe it anyway. I genuinely believe that Ten Hag is going to be the manager that brings Manchester United back to the top. I think we will be competing for Premier Leagues eventually under him. Some would say maybe even this year. I'm not in that boat. I do think it's Arsenal and City this year, but next year, I fully expect Manchester United to be in it, and I expect us to go for more. So, absolutely buzzing. Yeah, it was a good day.
Well, a bit of an indicator there. My next question was going to be when I do these opposition previews, I never like to assume what the other person's thinking about their team and their season. But with you, I feel quite comfortable in assuming you're delighted with the season and Ten Hag.
Yeah, absolutely over the moon. Honestly, I feel like, obviously, I know everyone who watches this channel is predominantly West Ham fans, so I wouldn't expect you to have watched Manchester United week in, week out, but obviously a lot of other fans watch different teams in the Premier League. I know I have watched West Ham quite a lot this season. I've watched other teams quite a lot. I just love the Premier League in general, but anyone who's kept a close eye on Manchester United this season, it's hard not to with how much we're in the news 24/7. It has been Ten Hag has honestly been a revelation. I was one of the people that was first on the United stand saying when obviously we got Rangnick in for interim, we knew it was going to be a permanent manager, that Ten Hag was the guy to go for. And wow, he's proved us right. The way that we started this season, like everyone knows about the 4-0 loss to Brentford and the start the loss to Brighton. Everyone thought it was the same old Man United, new manager, same old Man United. But what he's done since then to get us to this position is insane. He's added leadership in the likes of Casemiro. He's managed to keep Varane fit, which is super important for us. He's added the aggression of Martinez. His signings have been brilliant. And he's also got Marcus Rashford into being one of the best forwards in Europe, which is so exciting considering everyone knew the talent was there, but he just weren't performing it last season. And he's gone above and beyond what my expectations would have been for him this season. And Ten Hag has massively turned things around. We look like a team that's competing Europe now. I mean, beating Barcelona as well. It's exciting for us. So, yeah, don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, obviously. We've still got to take every game as they come, but it's a lot better now for us going to the games and having a team that plays good football, but also most likely, most of the time, it's going to win as well.
You said earlier you're not in the title race. Is that you just keeping it calm? I mean, you're just behind Man City with a game in hand, so arguably you're a couple of decent wins away from being level with Manchester City. And you've just said, obviously, the title race at the minute is Man City and Arsenal only. But when you're that close to your neighbours, I'm not sure you can rule yourself out of it entirely.
Do you know what it is? I've been going back and forth on this over the last probably month and a half, when we've really been kind of in and around it, when people started to take us seriously, because I know people weren't until then. I think we've only just started in making it into the title conversations in the last month and a half, and I've been umming and ahhing on whether I think it's possible. Everyone, if people would have seen me on the United stand, I'm usually very positive, and I usually do put myself out there and say, you know what, why not? We can do this. Like, why can't we do this? But I've been watching Arsenal recently. I've been watching Manchester City. It's not so much Manchester City that I'm worried about. The thing is with Manchester City that I think in the back of my head is Manchester City under Pep Guardiola. I know they've not been the same City this year, but they're fully capable of just not losing until the end of the season. That squad is capable of it. Pep Guardiola is capable of it. We've seen it multiple times before, like how good they actually can be. So you've got that in the back of your head. I also think they have been a little bit shaky. So, you know, certain things, we are only 3 points behind if we won our game in hand. So Manchester City, I'm worried about it because I know what they're capable of. But right now, watching the performances, it doesn't worry me like in this moment in time. But with Arsenal, they are actually quite far ahead now, and they've got the games in hand as well, which isn't the best thing for us. And they've had, do you know when sometimes say it's fine margins in football? They've had a few decisions go against them, but a few times I've just seen certain things happen in games, and I think maybe it is their year this year. Look, I don't like Manchester City and I don't like Arsenal. The two of our rivals. Arsenal are just absolutely unbearable, and Manchester City are obviously. I live in Manchester, so I know the few City fans that they are, I have to deal with them. So it is a little bit unbearable. But looking ahead, I think you've got to put us in the conversation, and you can't ignore us. But I just don't know if we can make up that big gap. I look back, and if it was earlier on in the season, I'd have faith. But right now, I just think it's a little bit too much. But you never know. I hope it gets to the end of the season and we are in and around it. But we'll have to wait and see. Don't put it past Ten Hag.
I think you are in it. Whether you go on and win it, I'm not too sure. But I think you're certainly in the race per se. I think if there was more games left, if there was still 20 games to go, I'd say possibly. I think you maybe just don't have enough time to catch up with Arsenal in particular. I think you're in the rhythm. I think you're in the most informed team. I know technically in the form table, Spurs is number one, but Man U.
How, by the way?
I don't know. I was surprised myself.
I think, when people say like these Mandela effects, for me, it's a Mandela effect how Spurs are where they are in the table. Every week I feel like they're playing rubbish and they're losing. Yet somehow they're like up there.
I watched them against Chelsea on Sunday. It was a poor game. They beat us the week before. They were nothing great. We were just really poor. I don't know how they are, but I checked the form table because West Ham are actually fifth in the Premier League form table at the minute, which again surprised me. I thought, are we that high? It doesn't feel like we've been doing all right. But I seen Spurs top. I thought that can't be right. And then I thought, well, I've been watching them. They've been winning games. It's just that. Not very well, but anyway, it feels like Man U are the informed team. They're the team that I fear the most at the minute. If it was a Premier League fixture,
one thing I will ask you actually. One thing I will ask you, obviously, because you're playing us right now. I do think other teams are starting to take Man United seriously. Like for example, last season, I reckon you come to Old Trafford. I don't think you're very worried at all. I think you know that the team you can beat. This season, right now, I bet you slightly nervous for tomorrow.
I'd be more nervous if it was a Premier League game. I think obviously Ten Hag will have a couple of players he might rotate. He might bring in, Maguire, possibly Lindelof as well, Malacia, McTominay, Garnacho, Sancho. I mean, he can still rotate quite a lot and bring in really good players as well. You've also got the Europa League, and I do think you're still in that title one. If it was a Premier League game, I wouldn't even bother to some extent. I'd write us off, say they've got no chance because I do feel I'm a big Ten Hag fan as well. I wanted him at West Ham years ago when Pellegrini left. I said, "Oh, please go throw everything at Ten Hag and get him in." And we were never going to do it under David Sullivan. We went back and begged for David Moyes to return, but I rate Ten Hag that much, and the way he handled the Ronaldo saga for quite a few months as well between the transfer windows, I thought was absolutely perfect. You've got the players playing well. Bruno Fernandes, I think, is one of the best players in the Premier League at the minute. I don't think he's getting the plaudits he deserves either.
Oh my God, finally, honestly.
I see him play in the number 10. Half an hour later, he's playing right wing. Half an hour later, he's playing left wing. He's playing everywhere, and he's performing really well in each position. I think to have a player like that is special. So
yeah, for me personally, I generally think he's probably one of the most underrated players in the league. Like people don't understand how good this player is.
It's because he's annoying.
Yeah.
It's because we all want to punch him. Yeah, we all want to punch him, Beth. So when you watch him, he's got the talent, but because he's barking at the referee for not getting a throw in your own half in the 8th minute when it's 0-0, it's a bit, and it's hard to
wins those games though.
Yeah,
wins those games of football.
It does, but it doesn't mean you don't want to punch him in the face. So he's got the talent, but he's also got that face as well. So
one of them plays that everyone else hates, but we love.
Yeah, I mean, we had Marko Arnautovic. Crystal Palace have still got Zaha. Everybody's got a player like that where nobody really likes him, but when he plays for you, you absolutely love him. You said next season you think you'll be in the title race. So what do you need to do in the summer in order to go from where you are now to closing that gap?
I mean, hopefully to get some new owners would be a start. It doesn't know if it's going to happen. Obviously, Avram turning up to the cup final because he knows he can't come to Manchester. He thought he'd give it a try in London, didn't he? But no, it's one. This is the one I think about and I slightly worry about because We need to have a good summer. We 100% do. Ten Hag's working miracles right now. People say we spent in the summer, and we did, but we completely overspent on the players that we had. Like, they're not worth the money that we paid. It's because our transfer team can't put transfers together to save their life. So they always end up overpaying at the last minute. But in January, for example, I mean, Chelsea are just ridiculous. Like, see what they're doing. Even Liverpool, who we know are reluctant to spend, ended up spending 40 million. Like, Spurs got players in. Like, loads of people around us got players in, and yet Manchester United had to deal with 2 loan signings. And Wout Weghorst, realistically, he plays for Burnley. As much as we like him, we love his work ethic, he isn't of the standard of what Manchester United need, in my opinion. I love the guy, but he just isn't the striker that's going to take Man United forward. Sabitzer is a good player, but it was still a loan signing that Ten Hag had to manoeuvre at the last minute. So I'm worried that if we don't get new owners in, the Glazers are going to see what Ten Hag's doing with limited supply. And people laugh at me and say limited supply because obviously we have spent a lot of money, but we've just not spent it in the right way in certain cases. But for example, in January, for United to not spend anything in the position they're in for a club like us is just not acceptable. So if they think they can get away with doing that, and Ten Hag's going to win trophies and he's going to be able to get this team up there, I'm worried that they're going to stay and keep us on a minimum budget for what they'll be able to get away with, really, without the fans absolutely going insane. But if we do get new owners, which I think is the most likely option, I don't think they dare stay now, but never know what they're going to do. If we do get new owners, Man United seriously need to be looking at a striker. I think everyone knows that. And everyone will know Wout Weghorst is a good stopgap. Martial is just injury prone as anything, and he isn't type of all-round number 9 that maybe is needed to be at the top level. I rate him so highly as a player. I know not many people do, but he's in the all-round number 9 to be at the top level. So we need a striker, absolutely. We need a box-to-box midfielder to go in that midfield with Bruno and Casemiro. Eriksen's great, but he's not going to be able to do it every single week. We've seen that. And again, the Fred, Sabitzer, for me, are going to be squad players. I think we might end up signing Sabitzer, but they're going to be squad players. We need like that. For me, it's like Frankie de Jong, a Jude Bellingham, a Declan Rice, potentially. It's potentially. And I think they're the 2 main positions, but also you're looking at moving on potentially Harry Maguire, maybe a centre-back thrown in there. Ambasaka and Dalot seem to be doing great now, but the main priorities will be a striker and a midfielder, I assume.
Briefly looking ahead to tomorrow night, which players would you pick out in form? If West Ham fans are watching this, pretend they don't watch Man U all season. They said, who should we look out for? Who would you say?
I mean, I don't think Rashford's going to play, but I would say Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford, obviously, 34 goal contribution so far this season is just absolutely insane. I think any team would be fearful of him right now. He seems to be scoring in near enough every game he's playing in. But he did pick up an injury at the Barca game, kind of played through that in the cup final. So I think the FA Cup this week, at home, I think Ten Hag will give him a rest. So I don't think he'll play, which is lucky for you guys. Maybe he'll come on if we need a goal, but I don't think he'll play. Bruno Fernandes, the guy he's made out of, I don't know what he's made out of, but he doesn't get injured at all. And he runs ridiculously for 90 minutes nearly 3 times a week. So I think he'll play. He's played more minutes than De Gea this season for Ten Hag. He's undroppable in my opinion. So Fernandes, we know what he's like. Then passes that he can just whip up out of nowhere can hurt you. So he'd be a player I'd be looking out for. And Alejandro Garnacho, I think he's going to play because he deserves that game time. And I'm not going to lie, him going against Soufal, it might do some damage. He's got ridiculous talent, and he'll want to prove himself and it is a good time to prove himself after not playing in the final.
Beth, are you bothered about the FA Cup? You've won the Carabao Cup. You're in the Europa League. Despite what you say, you're in the title race. You're in the race part of it, right? You might not win it, but you're up there. Are you bothered about this FA Cup?
Come on now. Of course I am. I want to win it. Obviously, the Europa League is massive for us this season. I really want to win that, especially after beating Barcelona. It'd be a shame to kind of put that to waste. The teams in that competition, apart from Arsenal, I think none of them worry me whatsoever. And even Arsenal, I think we can beat on our day. So Europa League, definitely get that in the bag. Carabao Cup's not now in the bag. I'm at the point now where I said I don't think we can win the league. I'd love us to be in around it, but I don't think we can win it. 3 trophies, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, and the Europa League would be unreal for Erik Ten Hag and Manchester United. And I don't see why that isn't possible. You look at the FA Cup and West Ham are a decent team. That I have to admit, they're a decent team who we've been put against. I do think we can beat you guys. Like, I do think we can, even with them rotations. But you look at the teams left in the competition, Manchester City and Spurs are probably the strongest ones. Brighton, all beatable, apart from Man City is the one that gives me obviously the most worry. But again, we beat them like a month ago at home. So we can do it. So I think, of course, I care about the FA Cup. It's a huge competition that I think Man United have got to take it seriously. And I think Eric Ten Hag, you can see how he feels about the cup competitions. He wants another trophy, so got to go for it. But I do think there'll be some rotation just because there is some. You say you can't prioritize stuff, but I think if you look at it, the Europa League and Premier League will probably just be above that in priorities for him.
Crystal ball time now, Beth. Will you win the FA Cup?
I'm going to put it out there. Yeah, why not? Why not? We're going to win it. We're going to win it at Wembley. Again, second trip down there. The only thing that worries me is... I should say West Ham, shouldn't I? But it's not.
Yeah, I was waiting for a David Moyes master plan, actually. I thought that's what you were going to say.
The only thing that worries me is Man City. But if we have them in the final, anything can happen. If we have Man City in the semis over 2 legs, like... No, it's not over 2 legs. It's at Wembley in the FA Cup, isn't
Wembley,
it?
Yeah. You've got muddled up with this Carabao Cup stuff. It's gone to
your
head.
Yeah. No, it's at Wembley. Nah, I think we can win it then. I think we can beat City on a one-off game. Pep's already starting to crack. You can see him in his press conferences. Oh, if they have more money, they can probably beat us, trying to have a bit of a joke. He's cracking under it. I think Ten Hag can do him. So, but yeah, you know what? David Moyes, he obviously has a past with Man United, doesn't he? God, I don't miss them days, I tell you that. I don't miss them.
Thanks for that. Europa League, will you win that?
You're putting me on the spot here, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's the point of the video.
Do you know what? I'm going to say, yeah. Why not? Why not? You've got to back your team. I call it the poor man's treble, but I'd love it. I'd still snap your hand off it. I mean, Europa League, Carabao Cup, and an FA Cup in Ten Hag's first season with the squad that finished the least amount of points that any Man United team ever last season. To do that in his first season, I think it'd be unbelievable. And I think we can beat Arsenal as well. So yeah, I'll say Europa League and FA Cup. Why not? Let's go for it.
I think you might get Rio Ferdinand shouting Eric's at the wheel if that was to happen. Right. West Ham, what's your thoughts on us?
Sign him up. West Ham, do you know what? I said to you before we just started this live, it's typical for us to face West Ham after they've just won 4-0. And I know it was against Forest, and I know you were at home and stuff like that, but still, you've been struggling recently. Let's not beat around the bush. You are kind of in a bit of a relegation battle right now, but I still see West Ham as a tough team. I really do. Like, obviously, when you came to Old Trafford early on the season in the league, we won, didn't we? But you can see that the quality, and you could have easily got a goal in the last 10 minutes. You were really putting the pressure on us. You've got some good players. Declan Rice, I'm not one of them people that thinks he's ridiculously overhyped. I think he's overpriced, massively overpriced, but I think he's a brilliant player, I have to say. And I said I would love him at United. Some United fans don't think that. I would. I think he's great. I also think Paqueta, who I don't think David Moyes is using right whatsoever. I think he just doesn't know how to use them sorts of players. I don't know if I don't obviously watch West Ham like full 90 minutes week in, week out. But from what I've seen, I really like Paqueta, and he just doesn't seem to be getting the best out of him. And you've also got Bowen, who is a great player, and Antonio as well, came on obviously and scored when you played at home against Forest. So you've got players there that can definitely hurt us. But I just think if we turn up with the threat we have going forward and how solid our defense has been, I don't see you winning, to be honest. But you never know. I could be wrong. People will be laughing in the comments if you come and beat us after this. You've always got a chance with Maguire. I'll say that. I think Maguire's going to play. It's either going to be Maguire or Lindelof. Varane definitely 100% won't play because he'll rest him. He's played 2 games. He can't play another one. So it'll definitely be Maguire or Lindelof. You've got a chance if that's the case.
Well, I hope so. Hopefully we'll see Maguire at the back then. Crystal ball time. Get that back out. Is West Ham getting relegated?
No. I'm not even just saying that because I'm on a West Ham channel and I want people to like me. No, I'm not. I'm
genuinely... You just said you're going to buy Declan Rice and you've mugged off our manager, so you can't.
Are West Ham fans really happy with David Moyes right now, though?
Depends which one you ask.
I mean, do you know what it is? I'm not like going in on David Moyes. I think he did a great job with you guys last year. I really did. Like, I really, really thought he was like, the fact you were nearly in Champions League football is crazy, isn't it? Like, thinking about it. But it's just this season, certain things I've seen, I think has been, I don't know. I don't want to go too
Let's
much
call it
into
not good
detail.
enough, or we'll just
Yeah.
say that and leave it at that. That's a safe thing to say.
I think he's just not taken certain risks that I think he should have taken, to be honest with you, this season, with the signings he's made, with the way the squad is. He's just not been good enough, in my opinion. But you do have a good team. I've said this. I don't see that team getting relegated. I think it'll be definitely Southampton, Bournemouth. Unsure who'll slip in out of the others. I think Wolves, now they've got Lopetegui, are going to be safe, I have to say. But I just don't see West Ham getting relegated. Obviously, you've got that big stadium now. You've got the likes of, again, Bowen in England international. That's played for England. He's a good player. Declan Rice, obviously your captain. I just see too many good players there to get relegated, if I'm being honest. But you never know. You never know with Moyes, as you said. Did it with Sunderland, didn't he? So.
Have you still got that crystal ball there? We're going to need it one more time. Well, two more times. Will West Ham win the Europa Conference League?
I mean, it's a way that David Moyes can redeem himself for this season, isn't it?
Well, it's a possibility that we could finish 17th and win the European competition.
Can I ask who are the big teams that are left in that now?
Lazio's the biggest one.
Lazio.
Yeah. And Fiorentina's in there as well.
Fiorentina are decent. Obviously, Amrabat plays for them. He's very good. I think you've got a very good chance. I think you've got a very, very, very good chance, I have to say. Obviously, you had a good run last year. Really good run last year. I thought you were unlucky. I think you've got a good chance. Although you were where you are in the Premier League, what you've got to remember is this West Ham team is basically the same team. How well did they do last season? And also, you've got to remember, the Premier League is the best league in the world. So all these other teams, like Fiorentina are decent, Lazio are decent, but they're not playing at the standard of the Premier League week in, week out the same way West Ham are. So I 100% think West Ham have a decent chance, and I'll be watching along. And you know what? I'll be rooting for you now. After this, I'll be rooting for you. So you've definitely got a chance. I think you could get there for sure. Get to the final at least.
You're going to be much welcome back on this channel. I think there's going to be people wanting me sacked and you hired with your positivity. You're more positive than I am. She's touched on it really, but you're quite confident ahead of tomorrow night.
Yeah, this is where I'm not going to be liked.
Yeah, as long as we get your honest opinion, we're good.
I'm confident. But we do have to make changes, which obviously isn't. I'd love it if we just had Varane and Martinez playing like 24/7 and they could run through brick walls, and Casemiro could do the same. And Rashford just never got injured and was always, superhuman. But that's just not the case in football. We're in 4 competitions. I know we've won the Carabao Cup now, so we're left in 3. We're the only team in Europe that was left in 4. We're playing a ridiculous amount of games, and one is going to have to subside. And I think this is going to be the one of this week after Barcelona and the Carabao Cup. So it's a good opportunity for you guys to, play a weakened Man United team, but you're also playing a team that's just won a cup and has just beat Barcelona. So the momentum is going to be with us, and we're at home as well after just lifting that trophy. The crowd's going to be up for it. So to be honest with you, I've gone. I don't know if you're going to ask me for a score prediction.
Yeah, this is the last time I'm going to ask to get that crystal ball out.
Yeah, so my score prediction, I'm going to go with 2-1 to United. So I do think it'll be a little bit of a close game. As I said to you, I think you've got a chance of scoring if Varane isn't playing and Maguire's put in there. Everyone always has a chance, and that's not me trying to be disrespectful. It's just simply not as good. I also think Casemiro could potentially be rested. Maybe you'll see Scott McTominay come back in. So you've got... Yeah, but he's no Come on, he's no Casemiro. Let's be honest. He's Scottish. Scottish is coming out anyway, isn't it? He's no Casemiro. So you've got slightly weakened players in the positions, but we still have the threats. Bruno, Garnacho, as I said, and Anthony, I think, will play as well. Not much going to say. See, this is other fans don't really rate Anthony, is what I've gathered, but he's a decent player and he's definitely got a shot on him on his left foot. So we've got goal threats there for sure. I expect United to win. I'd be disappointed if we don't.
Yeah, I think West Ham fans are expecting you to win as well. Don't worry about that.
What are you expecting?
think it'd be a close game. It depends really. We're missing a couple of players. Sufal's missing, so it won't be him against Garnacho. But if Garnacho starts,
is he missing Sufal?
Yeah, but if he's up, if we play Tilo Kerr right back, then I'm not looking forward to it. He'll just get destroyed. Garnacho will destroy him. If we play Ben Johnson there, a bit more of a solid defender, perhaps than Tilo Kerr.
I don't rate Ben Johnson. Sorry,
What?
I don't rate Ben Johnson.
Well, that popularity rate has just plummeted. Again, there's a lot of West Ham fans don't. I think defensively he's good. Offensively,
see, really I suppose when you're watching your own team, you watch it in so much more detail than when you're watching other teams.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I do watch West Ham quite a lot, but I'm not constantly looking at how many crosses has he got in the box, how many tackles has he made. Like, when I'm watching United, I do obviously watch players in complete depth. But Ben Johnson, for me, I just think there's a lack of quality end product there with him. But I don't know.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I think going forward, nothing.
I mean, you were in the race to get Wan-Bissaka. I'm bloody glad you didn't manage to get him. He would have been a great signing for you, wouldn't he?
Again, Wan-Bissaka better defensively than Johnson, but also has nothing going forward.
He's been a bit better recently. I'm telling you now. The guy is transforming. Eric Ten Hag's working his magic on these players. It's insane. I never would have thought I'd said that about Wan-Bissaka as well, but he was brilliant in the final. One thing I want to ask you, actually, sorry, I'm taking a bit.
That's all right, carry on.
One thing I want to ask you is, what do you think? I think Declan Rice will go to Arsenal personally. I do think that's where he's going to head off to. I think if we had a tip, if we had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still in charge, thank God we don't, but if we did, I think that'd be a signing that Ole would go for. I don't know, Ten Hag's probably going to prefer the Frenkie de Jong type player. But with Declan Rice, how much money would you be happy with to get him for in the summer?
I think if we can get 100 million, I think the club will have done well. Obviously, it depends on whether we get relegated or not. But saying that, I'm not really sure that would. I think a lot of players' values, as you would expect, dip when a team gets relegated. But I'm not sure Declan does that much because most clubs want him. Most clubs will want him if he's available. I think West Ham are trying all this stuff with Arsenal. I do kind of believe it, but when he gets linked to Chelsea and Man United, I do wonder if the interest is genuine, or West Ham are trying to just drum up a little bit of a bidding war themselves, kind of thing. Because the last thing we need is a one-horse race for Declan Rice in the summer. The last thing we need is Arsenal being the only team that wants Declan Rice, because we can say 100 million. Arsenal say, well, there's 80. What are you going to do? You've got
and
to take it.
And they also will walk away. You've seen it with Mudryk.
They don't have the money either. Well, they do, but they don't have as much money as other clubs. You know, Chelsea are the ones throwing it around like confetti. The hope is that Chelsea want him because we can probably write our own check and that numpty will sign it for us. But I don't know where he'll go. I think if we can get 100 million, I think that's a fair price for him. I think you're getting England's future captain. I think you'll see him. He might not be the captain, but he'll certainly captain England games in future. And if he goes to, and this is what's frustrating to some extent, if he goes to Man United or something, he just jumps up the pecking order for the captaincy at England level. He does, because he's now at a bigger club. It's like, well, he can do it for Man U, he can do it in the Champions League. So there's the captain's armband, Declan.
Yeah.
So I think whoever gets him is getting England's future captain.
And a second question for you, sorry.
That's all right.
Do you think he's better as the holding player or box to box?
Personally, it depends on who you've got next to him. I think if you've got a really good defensive midfield, if you had Casemiro, you can allow Declan to do the box to box part of it.
And do you think he's good enough to do that at the elite level?
Yes, I think the final third needs developed still. I think he's really grown in the last 18 months with his ball playing from centre midfield, giving it to the attackers, so on and so forth. His dribbling's really good. He eats up ground. When he gets going and hits his top speed, he's not the fastest player, but he's certainly not slow. But he can eat up the ground really quickly. He's quite confident dribbling. He's quite strong as well. His creativity levels is quite low, though. You're not really expecting a through ball from him or anything like that. He's starting to take set pieces now. He's taking on that responsibility. He's not the best at them, but he's getting better at them. But free kicks, corner, he's taking them all. He's taking them all. And, you know, last summer, not the summer that's just happened, so summer 2021, that'll be, he basically wanted to change his role. He wanted to become more of a box-to-box midfielder, and Souček end up sitting back. And it's really developed his game. probably to make him more appealing for clubs like Man United, Man
Yeah.
City. Say, look, I can do this. I'm not a sitting midfielder. I'm a box to box. I think he can do either. It depends on who his partnership is, and this is why I think he will possibly appeal to clubs like Man United. You can put him next to Casemiro and do one role. Another week you can put him next to Eriksen and have him do a completely different role. And I think he's capable.
This is why I
doing
looked
both.
at him and thought, we need someone in case Casemiro, for example, when he got that red card and he was out, we had no one to play that holding role. And Declan Rice could do that. But then again, Declan Rice isn't going to be on the bench because he can also play next to him. So, yeah, that's why I looked at him. But I think he'll go to Arsenal. So it's kind of a bit irrelevant. But you never know. You never know what happens.
You never know. But anyway, Beth, thank you so much for joining me. I know the subscribers will have enjoyed it. Hope you have. But if you guys at home have enjoyed it, I know you will have. But anyway, drop a like on the video by clicking the thumbs up button. Helps the channel. Subscribe to Hammers Chat. And if you fancy following Beth on Twitter, the link's in the description below. But Beth, thank you, and I'll catch you in a bit.
Thank you so much. Good luck, but not too much.